by Garrett that talking about the groom's ex-girlfriends is something we don't do in a best man speech. He also told me he wanted me to keep the speech under 5 minutes. And if I did talk about his ex-girlfriends, it would easily exceed 25 minutes. So for the sake of time, I chose to leave that part of Garrett's life, I chose to leave that part of Garrett's life out of this speech. You're welcome, bro. I'd like to quickly thank 2 individuals for making me a part of this wedding. First, Garrett. It's an honor being your best man. And second, Tuna, for being a dog. Therefore, not being capable of fulfilling best man duties like planning a stand or a bachelor party.
Yeah!
Because believe me, if Tuna could do those things, I wouldn't be here right now. Being that Garrett chose me as his best man, you're probably all thinking that we always got along. That's not the case. If you don't believe me, ask my dad how many times he had to patch up head-shaped holes in the walls in the basement from us fighting. Most of those fights starting because of my excessive amount or Garrett's lack of competitiveness when playing mini-sticks. Despite all that fighting, I want Garrett to know that I love him. And I know he loves me too. We're not the type of brothers that call each other up and say, I love you, man.
Okay.
But there are 2 particular instances that I can remember where Garrett's shown that he loves me without using those words. The first is when we were kids. We had just recently upgraded from Atari to the new Nintendo gaming console. It only came with 1 controller and 1 game, that game being Super Mario Brothers. He'd always come up to me and say, hey Graham, you want to go play Super Mario Brothers? I say, Garrett, we only have 1 controller. You go, no, it's okay, I'll just watch. And he would sit over the arm of the couch hours at a time, dead silent. Ever so often say, Graham, remember, there's a Mushroom Man coming up, and in level 4 there's a warp tunnel. Thanks to Garrett, I can now beat that game in under 6 minutes. The second is more recent. Just this past winter, Garrett and I played on a men's winter league hockey team for the first time. And after a very chippy game with a lot of fights and penalties, Garrett pulls me aside after the game and goes, Graham, why do you have to be such an ass on the ice? I said, what do you mean? He goes, you know, always antagonizing the other players, starting fights, getting penalties. Do you think it's fun for me sitting on the bench, worrying about you, whether or not you're going to get hurt or sucker punch? Because it's not, so stop. Ever since then, I've held my penalty minutes to a minimum and started no fights on the ice. Growing up, Garrett and I never made the best decisions. I managed to come up with at least 3 that I feel are the best and most appropriate to share with you today. When we were younger, growing up on Chartrand, after dinner during the summers, all the kids would meet up and play soccer or t-ball, tag, or hide and go seek. And, you know, over a course of a summer, Garrett and I got pretty bored with that. So one day after dinner, we put on a pair of our mom's gardening gloves, took tennis balls, WD-40, we soaked them in WD-40, lit them on fire, and threw them at each other for about 20 minutes. Until we heard our neighbor yell, hey, Spec Boys, I don't think that's a good idea. About 5 minutes later, our mom came running outside, grabbed us both by the arm, brought us inside, and grounded us for 2 weeks.
Worth it.
Worth it.
And then when we moved into our new house on Sebring, our parents had gone away for a weekend, and I was watching TV in our family room, and I hear from the top of the stairs, Graham, come here for a second. I go to the bottom of the stairs, I look up, Garrett's got duct tape in one hand, and a mattress under the other. He goes, roll me up in the mattress, tape me up, and throw me down the stairs. So I'm not gonna. I run right to the top, roll him up, tape him up. As soon as I threw him down the stairs, the tape broke, the mattress got caught in the banister, and Garrett proceeded to fall down the stairs. He hit his head on the linoleum floor, looked up at me and goes, did it work? I said, yep. Then when he turned 16 and got his G1, the day after his G1, he went out and spent $300 on a subwoofer. He comes home and goes, Graham, check out what I got. Do you think Dad will let me put it in the van? That subwoofer sat in his room for 3 years until he sold it for a loss of $200. I know what you're probably all thinking. Has Garrett ever made a good decision? I'll answer that question with the best decision Garrett's ever made. About 5 years ago, Garrett and Andrew went to an all-ages pub night at Sheridan College. As soon as Garrett entered the pub, he locked eyes with a beautiful young woman who he ended up dancing with for the majority of the night. Andrew told me you couldn't separate the two of them. It seemed as if it was meant to be. It wasn't until near the end of the night where Garrett made the best decision of his life. He told this beautiful girl that he'd been dancing with all night that he was going to go to the bar and grab a couple drinks. He left this girl on the dance floor, and on his way to the bar, bumped into who would end up being the love of his life, in French. And the rest is history. I'd like to make a toast to my brother, his beautiful wife, and my new sister, and all ages pub nights.
Yeah!
Hip hop football rules! Yeah!